The following review is intended for entertainment purposes and targeted for adult fans of the series.
Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another Power Rangers Dino Fury Second Era episode review. As many, if not all of you, are aware of by now, the Ranger world was shaken last week by the sudden and untimely death of perhaps the main face of the Power Rangers franchise, Jason David Frank. For those of you who are unaware, JDF very sadly took his own life last Saturday, November 19th. I did a video on the subject that was more of a news report / obituary, so I thought I'd take a quick moment before the review here to talk about the personal impact. I'm one of those that's never really deeply emotionally affected by celebrity deaths, even when I deeply admired their contributions to society. I never got to meet JDF in person, but of course, as a Power Rangers fan, I had tremendous admiration for him. The Green Ranger was a legend, showing up as a dark, mysterious, evil tool of Rita Repulsa before the Rangers freed him. Tommy becoming the White Ranger led to a milestone moment of fandom for me. When the Power Rangers movie came out, TV Guide did a special article and issue for that, and Tommy was on the front cover in the White Ranger movie suit. I remember begging my mother to get me that issue, which she did, and it's really the first time I can remember seriously wanting something that I wouldn't normally want because it was associated with a fandom of mine. My favorite iteration of Tommy is actually Dino Thunder Black, Dr. Tommy Oliver, a seasoned veteran of Ranger battles, now mentoring a new young team, but also joining them as a Ranger one more time, and even dealing with the emotional trauma of this constant battle between good and evil that approached post-traumatic stress disorder. Finally, I wanted to directly point out a piece of Ranger memorabilia I have that now obviously takes on much more weight and meaning, and you may actually already see it behind me here. This is an autographed picture of JDF. Now, as I said, I never met JDF. My very good friend Kimmy got this for me. She didn't meet him either. This was something that she purchased on a memorabilia site. Got it for me for Christmas, like I said. But just obviously now, having this picture takes on a lot more weight and meaning now that JDF is sadly no longer with us. The main reason I point this out is because in a darkly funny sort of way, as I was watching the video I did about JDF's passing, I realized that I didn't have this picture on set, and I could have. It's actually sitting just partially out of frame, partially in the video, but partially not, so I kind of wanted to give this picture its time. This is obviously an example of the things that JDF would do for fans, and it's now a more poignant piece of memorabilia. I can say pretty confidently that this franchise would not be where it is without the contributions of Jason David Frank, and following on from that, I wouldn't have the type of YouTube success that I've had if this franchise wasn't where it was now with the contributions of Jason David Frank. He will be missed incredibly. However, as even JDF would surely say, the show must go on. The Ranger actors found out about JDF while working on Cosmic Fury. That work goes on, and so does mine. The Rangers finally found out Lord Zedd's plan last time to use Rafcon's Spork's generator to create a brand new army of monsters for himself. And they were forced to leave him there on Rafcon as he overwhelmed them, and the team found themselves rescued. This is actually oddly fitting now. by the Green Morphin Master. What exactly is she up to? Let's find out by taking a look at the 15th episode of Dino Fury 2nd Era, Morphin Master.
Please make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can see all of our videos.
Yeah, and make sure you got your notifications set up by hitting that little bell icon so you get notified whenever we post any brand new videos.
Right you. What he said was that if you'd like to support the channel in any way financially, you can consider checking us out on Patreon or Ko-fi at Orange Ranger Videos.
Right you.
You know, Power Rangers doesn't really air on traditional TV anymore. This season was produced knowing that. Only Netflix ordered the second season of Dino Fury. So, getting a previously on segment for a show that's primarily intended to be, binge-watched and streamed straight through feels unusual. It's a couple of things, I think. One is tossing a bone to the few places where Power Rangers does still air on traditional TV, and the other is making sure that the tiny little kid minds are still keeping up with the complicated story. The way they do the previously on actually fits Dino Fury's MO for these things, where in important plot moments, they have a previously on that has clips from a couple of past episodes with the plot details that set the story up. Though here, it's really just the GMM, Green Morphin Master, that's long to type and say, telling Ion he needs to wake up.
Wake up! Run, rush, and put a little makeup!
Right. To stop Lord Zed, and then all clips from the previous episode. In fact, in the previous episode, they referenced back and flashback to that, so really, these were all clips from the previous episode. The Rangers finding Ravcon, Zed blasting Zato and injuring him a lot more than made any sort of sense, Solon saying he's dying without saying he's dying, and the GMM showing up. GMM, that's still actually kind of a mouthful. For the rest of this video, I'm actually going to refer to the Masters simply by their colors, green, red, blue, and then when the Rangers are in fights, I'll still tend to refer to them by their names. So, Green says that she couldn't let Lord Zed destroy them, so she had to step in directly. Ion asks if she can help Zato, and she says she'll try because the universe needs him now more than ever. Then she just zaps him, and he's fine. What, was this like rolling for cure wounds? She rolled an 8 on the D8, so he's fine, but if she had rolled a 1, he would take more time to recover or something? Yeah, I play D&D. You do know that I'm a massive geek, right?
Let's go ahead and roll initiative.
I already have 2 problems with this scene, but I will mention them in a moment. So basically, Ion apologizes to Green for not living up to her prophecy, her not taking one single second to mention that she never said that Ion had to be the one to defeat Lord Zed, let alone having to do it by himself. Instead, she just kind of tilts her head at him like a confused Dalmatian. She says it's okay, it's just that the Dino Fury Rangers don't have a powerful enough arsenal to defeat Lord Zed. But she can help with that, magicking up the Dino Master Saber, a slightly modified, different-looking, and more powerful Chroma Fury Saber that can give the Rangers Dino Master armor, and that can defeat Lord Zed.
Okay, but why though?
But there's a catch because, of course, there's a catch. The Saber's ultimate attack uses power from all of the Rangers' Zords, which would make all the difference against Lord Zed. However, it's mutually assured destruction. Whichever Ranger uses that attack will also be destroyed.
What are you talking about?
So, couple of quick issues here. One, why would you make a weapon that also kills the Ranger that uses it? That makes about as much sense as that one VR headset that will apparently kill you in real life if you die in a game that you're playing on it. I do understand that in the battle against evil, suicide tactics can be a thing in desperate situations, but that should be like the override switch, not its final attack. 2, the Rangers' reaction to this is that they were emotionally traumatized by nearly losing Zato. They are not going to lose a Ranger in this fight. The thing is, that doesn't carry a lot of emotional weight because Zato was only dying for about 30 seconds of in-episode real-life time. If anything, I think that Green reviving Zato should give the Rangers a feeling of nigh-on immortality. If we nearly die, we have a Morphin Master in our corner. She'll just cast Revivify. There's that D&D again.
I love Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh look, I've had a water bottle sitting behind me the entire time. Well, I am thirsty. What are you talking about?
Shut up, Wesley.
And finally, proving that my promise that these would be quick points was a lie, this is literally Deus Ex Machina and kind of flies in the face on how these Rangers' weapons have worked. Now, don't get me wrong, Dino Fury is not a purely technological season. It kind of is one of those mixed seasons between technology and magic. But a sword that grants armor powerful enough to beat Lord Zed feels like it deserves more build-up than Green going, "Oh, here, I found that in the crawl space." Of course, that's literally how they got the Dimetro Zord, so maybe it is fitting. Page 3, and I am 3 minutes into this episode. Well, that makes it a good time for a lore dump. There's another whooshing sound, and Master Blue appears. Blue explains that Red sent him to go get Green because she has broken their primary rule, not to interfere in the lives of mortals.
What did you say?
The Rangers are understandably confused by this because that's kind of been what the Morphin Masters do. Create teams of Power Rangers, mortals, to fight evil. And 65 million years ago, the Masters directly intervened in the lives of Ravkonian mortals to create the very first team of Power Rangers, the Dino Fury Rangers, the original Ravkonian squad. Blue says that yes, that is all true, but with more power came more villains.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
After the original Sporix War, bad guys began hunting down the Morphin Masters to get the power of the Morphin Grid, and many Masters were lost. This is potentially a very, very interesting little piece of backstory. Because if what he's talking about is the idea that every color is represented by a master, and not just like previous iterations of the red Morphin Master, the blue Morphin Master, etc., but if like every color had its own Morphin Master, this could explain why, for example, we've never had an Orange Ranger. Maybe the Orange Morphin Master was killed after the Sporix War. By helping the Dino Fury Rangers, Green has sealed her fate. She will be sealed in a crystal for all of eternity. The Rangers are super mad about this since, she kind of saved their lives and everything, but Blue says that rules are rules, preparing to do the deed. It's a little unclear at first whether this is just taking Green back to Red, like he originally said, or putting her in the crystal, but it becomes clear later he came to do the deed himself. Green seems to ready herself in defense. Ooh, we gonna have a Morphin Master throwdown here?
Let's get ready to rumble!
After a tense commercial break, which again I assume is really only there for the places that do still air Dino Fury on television, Zato steps between them, telling Blue once again that Green saved their lives. He pulls out the seriously comedically large Ranger database USB and shows Blue how Green rebuilt the Dino Henge statues at the end of the first season so we could have a second season. This does not actually help her case, however, as it just confirms to Blue that Green has done this meddling thing before. So then they decide to fill in some plot holes from the Ranger past with the asphalt of Deus Ex Machina. By the way, it occurred to me that I should explain that term to anybody who's unfamiliar with it. Deus Ex Machina is Latin and literally means God in the machine. It's a term from theater, which basically nowadays we more say as a wizard did it. It's filling in a plot hole by saying that something supernatural or miraculous happened that you really can't explain. Zato says as he looked through the Legendary Ranger database, he kept finding these moments where the Rangers were in very dark situations, everything seemed lost, and they were suddenly saved in ways that can't really be explained.
What happened here was a miracle, and I want you to acknowledge it.
We start with Grid Connection, the Dino Team-Up episode of Grid Battle Force. Devin was hit by a meteor, which somehow contained the T-Rex power coin, allowing him to call on Jason, the original Mighty Morphin Red Ranger, and other teams answered that call, other Dino teams, Ollie, to help them beat Goldar Maximus. And then later, when Steel, the Silver Ranger, sacrificed himself trying to stop Evox, the Grid mysteriously revived him and made him human. By the by, Izzy has a fangirl moment here about Steel Silva, and I hadn't mentioned it to this point, but this has been a really rough episode for her. She's been cracking jokes at the worst times, and just doesn't seem to be taking anything about the situation seriously. That's kind of rare for her, so I figured it was worth mentioning.
Your humor's weird and confusing.
Blue asks to hear more. Why don't you know this stuff already? Aren't you all, connected to the morphing grid and observing all of the history of Ranger battles and stuff? Anyway, Zato brings up the legendary battle, and we get a shot of Tommy as the Green Ranger walking right at the camera. Ooh. Anyway, so many legendary Rangers showed up to fight, and it couldn't just be that those Rangers still had access to their powers and decided to come back and help on their own. No, a Morphin Master did it.
Walking on water, it's because I believe in Jesus. And Jesus was like, yep.
By the by, this is Super Mega Force, so it's the Bond footage, which means it's redubbed. Nobody really talks, so it doesn't matter. But it did give them a chance to fix that shot of the Ninja Storm Rangers using their ninja speed, where Tommy was dubbed onto it because somebody saw a Green Ranger with a big gold shield and went, "Ooh, that's Tommy, I know that one." This is weird. Remember how at the end of that fight, the Legendary Rangers turn into balls of light and ascend to heaven or whatever, and how we speculated that maybe that meant that they weren't the actual Rangers themselves, but the spirits of the Rangers stored within the keys or whatever? No, that was just Green pulling them back out of the fight, just like she turned the Dino Fury Rangers into balls of light to teleport them away from Rafcon. It was all Greeny.
And then Jesus was like, sucks to be you.
When Solon asks her, Green admits that there have been even more times where she's directly intervened. Heroes. We seem to have before us today the singular hero of the Power Rangers universe. Remember that time that Master Vile had nearly defeated the Wild Force Rangers, and then their Zords just somehow came back and helped them save the day? Yeah, I bet Greeny did that. Blue says that Green has made herself vulnerable intervening so much, and in doing so, has also made the other Masters vulnerable. No, he does not explain how. Multiple Morphin Masters have died, according to you, but you're still alive, Blue Boy. He prepares to imprison her, the Rangers jump in front to defend her, but she says that these Rangers must complete their crucial mission, teleporting them back to Rafcon. He takes aim, but she refuses judgment of her own, teleporting away, and some of Solon's mushrooms are encased in crystal instead. We get an establishing shot of Rafcon, and I nearly lost my mind laughing, because the Megazord is still there, just floating around the planet in orbit. I don't know why that got me as much as it did, but I was just imagining this entire time the Rangers were back on Earth, this debate between the Morphin Masters. The Megazord is just floating around Rafkon. Good thing Rafkon has strong gravity, huh? So the Rangers find Zed et al. Working on the generator, and Zed says that he wants to move the generator. That seems like a bad idea, and I don't just mean in the, oh no, the generator is hooked to the planetary core, so moving it will probably destroy the planet way, but in a, this thing is hooked up to the planetary core, and that's how it works, and if you move it, don't you have to hook it up to another planetary core, and won't that take more time? Why not just turn on the device here way?
And now for something completely different.
The Rangers try to stop them, but they're too late. The villains teleport away with the machine, and indeed, that does mess up Rafkon something fierce. Now, it is a good thing the Megazord was floating there in orbit. They teleport up to it, and Rafkon explodes.
You'll explode.
Seriously, this show just went from the Megazord's just been floating there in orbit this whole time, to Zato and Ion just watched their beloved home planet they've been searching for these 2 seasons now explode. Contrasting tones, Dino Fury. Zato nearly collapses in grief, but there's no time for that. Solon calls and tells the Rangers that Zed teleported the machine to Earth, setting it up in Pine Ridge, because, of course. Rafkon may be gone, but the Rangers still need to protect the Earth. And they write around the whole wouldn't you need to connect it to another planetary core thing, with Scrozzle saying the machine is still full of magma energy. It was only activated for like a second or two on Rafkon, but hey, they tried to write around it. Scrozzle activates the machine, and nothing happens. Scrozzle gives 2 excuses for this. 1, maybe the Sporix need time to bake, and 2, the machine is rather old. But hey, look what the cat finally dragged in. The Royal Voids. They confront Zed for betraying them, but Zed plays them like fiddles. This is no betrayal. He said he would do whatever it took to get the planet Earth for all of them, so they went off, and Scrozzle built a machine that makes Sporix.
That's not true!
Scrozzle starts to protest this point, but then Zed tells him to shut up and slink away. The Royal Voids buy this hook, line, and sinker. Then the Rangers teleport in, unmorphed. Why? I get it's so they can have a morphing sequence in the episode. But that is the Doyleist reason. What is the Holmesian reason? They were already morphed in the Megazord, and they were teleporting down to fight Lord Zed. Being demorphed does not make any sense.
Okay, dude, calm down. Take a chill.
Okay, guys, we back? Okay, everybody. Sorry. Just that guy. Chill out. Just. Anyway. Zed teases that the Rangers just can't get enough of him. Couldn't let you destroy 2 planets today. Zato quips back. Zato quips, jokes at Zed about the destruction of his home planet to the one that destroyed it. This does not get any better. Void Queen leaves, telling her henpecked husband to deal with this. Zed has Boom Blaster and whatever that green thing was called, something, I think, fight. Ion says Zed is chicken, and then moos like a cow. Javi takes a moment to explain this to Ion and to Zed, and we get that single womp womp kind of note. 2 of these Rangers just lost their planet. Will you pick a tone? We get a morphing sequence with a full roll call this time, and when you combine that with the clips from the past episodes, this episode starts to feel just a touch padded out. One very minor note that really is only noticeable by people like me, but the shots of each Ranger in the roll call hold out to half a second to a second past the end of their line. This could just be for the padding, but as someone who edited morphing sequences in the past, I absolutely love this. I used to put together these Once a Ranger morphing sequences, and it was always so annoying when the shot in the roll call would change before the previous Ranger was done talking.
Moving right along.
So, what are we thinking for this review? 45 minutes? 50? At least the fight scene's quick to summarize. Fight, 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 fight. Full Dino Knight transformation, speaking of padding. And then Ion just pulls out the Dino Master saber and activates the Dino Master armor. Just like that. No build-up. So, it's basically a dark blue cloak lined with gold, and there's this kind of bar of shoulder armor that also wraps around the front and the back. He uses the cape to fight Boom Blaster, even able to deflect shots back with it. The other Rangers fight Green Lipstick Robot, and they get the upper hand. But say, where did Void King go? Oh, he's sitting up on that building, and now he's blasting the Rangers around for losing track of him. Void King knocks them all down, and Boom Blaster prepares to finish them off. Ion decides to see what the Master Saber can do with a key. I would technically consider this a finishing move, which is supposed to be lethal to the user, but he uses the Mosa key, and indeed it launches an energy form of the Mosazord's head at Boom Blaster, boom blasting it. Okay, so maybe that was the energy of one Zord, so maybe this wasn't the ultimate attack. Anyway. And by the way, don't worry about Boom Blaster. That thing regenerates more than a Time Lord. I'm sure it'll be back. In a clever turnabout, Amelia actually uses this moment to sneak away herself to go get the Dino Fury cycle. Have we seen that thing since the episode it debuted in? Maybe once? She plasma blasts some bad guys who retreat. That leaves Zed and Scrozzle. And by that, I mean that leaves Zed because Scrozzle beats a hasty retreat. The machine is almost ready, and Zed activates a force field around himself and it, so the Rangers cannot prevent it. They decide to use all of their power, activating the other Zord keys for armor, but it doesn't do anything. Well, seems like they're a fresh hot batch of Dunyan rings. Nothing they can do about it now. There's going to be a brand new army of Sporix for Lord Zed. They do contemplate calling the Zords, but decide against it. Not really sure why. Maybe property damage in that tight of an area, or just not wanting them damaged by Zed. Ion gets an idea. The Master Saber's ultimate attack. Sure, it'll kill him, but he will not allow a new army of Sporix to be created. But, as he goes to do it, it's Deus Ex Machina time! Green shows up, zapping the force field and breaking it. Zed zaps at her, and the two get into a beam war, which she's actually losing. Suddenly, Ion realizes what he's meant to do. He jumps in and attacks Zed, which distracts him. This allows Green to do what she was meant to do, firing a beam that destroys the Sporix generator and encases Zed and her in crystal. Back at the base, there's nothing that Solon can do. She never even managed to free her mushrooms. Then Red and Blue show up, looking for Green. The Rangers explain what happened and how she saved them from Lord Zed. Well, it's clear the Rangers never would have beaten Lord Zed on their own, so Green saved countless lives. Maybe Red and Blue were wrong about her, and wrong about their rule.
I was the wrong one!
I know that I said I'd stop using JonTron cutaways, but I feel like I'm softening on that stance a little bit, and that one really just works so much better. They free Green from the crystal and declare that from now on, the princess may marry whomever she wishes. Interference in mortal lives is no longer forbidden. They leave, wishing the Rangers will stay safe. Of course, that's a meaningless wish now, since they can just make that happen. They take Zed with them, saying they will store him on a planet far away. Green goes to leave as well, but Ion has a question. If he was wrong about her prophecy, why did Green wake him up? She finally beats him over the head with the answer to that. His attacking Zed while they were having their beam war was the key to defeating Zed. She never said Ion had to defeat Zed by himself. Zato asks her one final question. Rafkon was destroyed, but remember that there were no people on the planet when it was. What happened to the Rafkonian people? And after holding the Ranger's hand the entire episode, she says that question she won't answer. The Rangers will learn the answer to that in time. As we wrap up, Izzy expresses her pride in what the Rangers have accomplished. They defeated Lord Zed. They stopped a new Sporix army from being formed. They helped the Morphin Masters. What a great day! Or it would have been if they had actually done any of that. Nice moment as Amelia expresses her sorrow that Rafkon was destroyed, but Zato says at least he still has his friends, and she says that the two Rafkonians always have a home in Pine Ridge. Zato has to wait to find out what happened to his people. You do not have to wait to find out why this was just the second episode of Dino Fury that I hated. Let's balance the scales. Episode 15, Morphin Master. Pros, more focus on the Rangers, more deep-cut lore, and very high stakes. Cons, the Zed arc is underwhelming, bad tonal shifts, and the Rangers have never felt more neutered. Turns out, sometimes when Dino Fury focuses on its own story, it falls flat on its freaking face. Morphin Master gets 2 scales out of 5. I will say this one quickly because I have beaten this point into the ground in previous reviews, but Power Rangers in general, and Dino Fury in particular, is so much better when the story is focused on the quest of the Rangers to defend the Earth and not just some moral of the day and oh yeah, the Rangers fought too. Now, this time that point has a massive asterisk that I will explain in the cons. Anytime we deal with the Morphin Masters, that is Power Rangers deep lore. Dino Fury has been very intentionally focused on fleshing out the history of the Power Rangers, the backstory, the lore, the masters, where the powers come from, etc., etc. This is kind of a double-edged saber, as some things are over-explained, and I think some things are better left as mysteries, but overall it's a plus. The stakes in this episode were palpable. Zed's plan nearly succeeded, and the Rangers were noticeably scared that it was going to work. We saw a planet explode. Zato nearly died, though as I said, that was surprisingly downplayed. Geez, all 3 pros this week feel like backhanded compliments, disclamatory praise. Well, that's what you get in bad episodes. As I talk about Lord Zed, I will say this. He has not been destroyed. He's frozen in a crystal, being stored on a planet far away, which screams still alive, set up for down the road, especially with next season having the Rangers go into space.
I'm in space.
But yeah, we get Zed back in a Halloween episode. He disappears for over a season. then shows back up, goes to get a sporks machine, sets it up and it nearly works, but then he stopped and that's it. For Lord Zed, it really doesn't feel like enough happened. It really felt like what they were setting up was that Void Knight was going to be completely defeated and destroyed at the end of Season 1, and then Lord Zed was going to be the primary villain for Season 2. Like, what we got from him was good, but I wanted more. There were some really weird and uncomfortable tonal shifts in this episode. Zato recovers from being nearly dead, and a moment later, Izzy is cracking jokes about Lord Zed being made of beef jerky. And like I said, she does that at several really bad, awkward times throughout this episode. Zato and Ion see their home planet explode. And then they're cracking jokes about it in the next scene. But Sean, it's not like anybody was on the planet, so nobody really died or anything. Okay, so let's say that your family goes on vacation, the pets are boarded in a kennel somewhere, there's nothing alive in the house, and then you come back from vacation and find out that your house burned down while you were gone. Would you not be sad about that because nobody died? That's kind of a dark point, but I mean, blowing up somebody's home planet is intentional. And it should have meaning. It should have psychological impact. The worst part about these tonal shifts is that they feel incredibly intentional. It was like they decided that this was going to be a very deep, important, emotional episode, and then somewhere along the line there was this pushback. We can't make the kids that sad. We can't scare them that much. They have to laugh, too. I don't feel like there needs to be a laugh quota in Power Rangers. I mean, thank Zordon, no Jane Borg this week. No Buzz Blast at all. Again, 100% Ranger focused. But the humor just never landed, and it was cringeworthy when it came right after the super serious moments. But if you thought that I've been ranting to this point,
Here we go.
my biggest takeaway from this episode is a con that not only hurt this episode, not only hurt this iteration of Power Rangers, but the entire franchise. I already thought it was kind of shaky ground to establish that the Morphin Masters created all of the morphin tech for Power Rangers. Did they create the Lightspeed Morphers? The ones that were developed by government scientists? Did they develop the Chronomorphers? In the future, the year 3000? But this episode establishes in canon, in TV show canon, which is the only one a lot of Ranger fans seem to think counts, that basically any time the Rangers were in a tight spot, they were saved by the Green Morphin Master. Like, they go out of their way to establish this. Devin getting hit by the meteor that had the T-Rex power coin, that was not the mysterious will of the Morphin Grid, that was the Green Morphin Master. Steel getting revived and made into a human? GMM.
That was easy.
It just neuters the Rangers. They don't seem important anymore. They're the foot soldiers of the Morphin Masters. And if the Rangers can't handle something, in the past, Green would step in, and now any of them can. And it extended to this episode. Remember how I said that Izzy falsely, took responsibility and pride in what the Rangers did? Green destroyed the Sporks machine. Green stopped Lord Zed. Yeah, Ion helped, but that's really it. The Morphin Masters are worshipped in this episode, and the Rangers are spit on. Like, the Masters say multiple times that the Rangers never would have been able to defeat Lord Zed. Tommy fought Lord Zed as the White Ranger on his own, and it was a draw at best.
Bullseye, yes!
The Morphin Masters exist, it would seem, to answer questions that only people like me would ask, and even then, those questions don't always need answers. I do realize that sounds a little bit hypocritical since I rant a lot about things the show doesn't bother to explain, but there really is a line here. It really was more fun to wonder if the morphing grid was sentient and had a will, like Este and I did in our shared review of Grid Connection. The morphin grid is not God. To our knowledge, the grid is not even sentient.
There's no instance in the Power Rangers universe, at least to my knowledge, where the morphing grid is actually alive. Yes, there are multiple fan theories, conspiracies, and all that, but we don't really know.
Than to just go, oh, the Green Morphin Master sent the meteor. It turns out, canonically, that the morphing grid is just power. The will of the morphing grid is the Morphin Masters.
Yawn.
Well, maybe now that we're past Lord Zed, we can get past the Morphin Masters too and buckle down on getting to the end of Dino Fury's story. Or maybe that's just like the 16th episode of Dino Fury Second Era, wishful thinking. Let's take a peek. When a monster's meddling gives Javi a big break, he must come to terms with the fact that the key to success is hard work, not shortcuts. Oh, good! We come out of a multi-episode arc whose main purpose seems to have been to lower the importance of the Power Rangers in their own franchise, and our tonic from that is a human moral of the day episode. That's gonna do it for another Power Rangers Dino Fury Second Era episode review. Thank you, heroes, so much as always for watching. Now that the video's done, you can let me know what you thought of this episode, as well as my rather lengthy review of it, down in the comments below. While you're down there, make sure you smack that thumbs up button and let me know that you enjoyed this video. And if you're looking for a way to support this channel that isn't Patreon or Ko-fi, consider checking out my Teespring store where you can get t-shirts just like this one. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you. Okay, bye! However, the way they do this previously on... that makes us about the toast. Because if they're talking about after the original Sporix War, villains began hunting... But it did give them a chance to fix that shot of the Ninja Steel Rangers, Ninja Storm. Nobody seems to talk. Zed says that Ion is, they leave, wishing that the Rangers will stay safe. Of course, that's a meaningless... toast. And now any of them can. Sure. Let's take a look.